2.6 million meters in our service territory by the year 2013. On the generation front, I think people often forget that the Virginia City project is called the Hybrid Energy Center for a reason. Up to 20% of that facility will be using biomass. When you think about 20% of 585 megawatts, that's over 100 megawatts worth of power. The largest biomass facility on the East Coast right now, which we own and operate, is 80 megawatts. So that will be a very large biomass facility just incorporated into a very large coal plant. I don't know if you've driven by there recently. The tower crane is up, and it's pretty exciting down there right now. We are doing carbon capture and storage research along with Virginia Tech, and the Congressman has worked very closely with us in trying to prove this technology. We do think that unminable coal seams are promising from a geologic perspective, but there are many legal issues to be worked out for the storage of CO2. And there are many technical issues to work out. For example, currently, to capture CO2, the amount of power it would take, it would reduce our 585 megawatt facility down to about 400 megawatts worth of usable power for the customer. We would have to use the rest of it to capture that CO2. That's something that hopefully over the next 10 to 12 years will be addressed technically, but we're a long way currently. We are also exploring a new nuclear unit at our North Anna Power Station. We are hopeful. We are on the street right now, out to 5 different vendors, trying to see what their costs will be. We have upgraded many of our units, which involves making them more efficient, getting more megawatts out of the unit without having to do anything substantial. And we are pursuing renewable energy projects, as I've mentioned, and we'll talk a little bit more about right now. We have existing projects in West Virginia and in Indiana. The Ned Power Station in West Virginia is along a 19-mile ridge line, producing 264 megawatts. And when you think about that and compare it to a coal plant, please remember that those wind turbines will be turning about a third of the time. So divide any megawatts that you see by 3, because that's the most likely output. And by the way, when it's August and it's 95 degrees, there's no wind blowing. You need some other generation in the middle of your peak times. In Indiana, we've partnered with British Petroleum to build a 400 megawatt facility that is over a 144 square mile area. That's what it takes to put 750 megawatts on the grid from a wind perspective. We're looking to expand that 400 megawatts and have 750 operating by 2011 or 2012. We also have we have land in Illinois that we're developing, 300 megawatts worth, and some of you may have heard that we're exploring projects here in Wise County and in Tazewell. We also have other sites in early development in Virginia that we have not discussed the location publicly. So let's talk about these projects in southwestern Virginia. Our partner is British Petroleum. They have a very good history of developing and building wind farms throughout the U.S. We chose to partner with them in Indiana. That partnership has gone well enough that we chose to do it again here in Virginia. We have about 2,500 acres of land that we own in Tazewell County. Tazewell, other than offshore wind projects, onshore, Tazewell shows the best wind profile of any site that we have seen in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and Wise County is closely behind it. The exact size and scope of the projects has not been fully determined, and these permits are still subject to all federal, local, and state approvals. The Tazewell project is proposed to be located on East River Mountain. We have had many public hearings and are working with local government right now to make sure that it's something that they want to welcome into their county. The Wise County project is proposed to be located on Black Mountain. From an economic benefit standpoint, a typical 60 megawatt wind project which this project may be larger than that, depends on what we can come to from an approval standpoint. You're talking about $2 million in wages, $5 million in local products and services. From a jobs perspective going forward, it's not a huge impact on jobs. It's only 5 to 10 jobs to have upkeep on operation and maintenance. But it does have a significant impact on the tax base. Of course, they're emissions-free and totally renewable. They don't consume any water resources, and they will not affect wildlife populations because we must get federal permits to get through any wildlife issues. From a property value standpoint, we've seen a lot of questions from local residents. What kind of impact is this going to have on our property values? The studies that we have seen do not show any negative impact on property value. In fact, I'll tell you that the farmers out in Indiana love us. They call us the second harvest. They view corn as their first harvest, and the second harvest is the win because of the payments that we've made to them and the impact that we've had on their local tax base. But we do not see any studies that show any impact negatively on home values. Ridgeline. Now, if y'all heard the introduction, I am from West Virginia. I view these mountains the way that many of you all do, with great love in your heart for the mountains. So I know a lot of folks are concerned about what happens to my ridge lines when you put wind turbines up there. We will protect and keep tree cutting to a minimum. The site access roads will be kept to their minimum extent possible, 36 feet during construction and 18 feet post-construction. And these turbine foundations will be poured in concrete in very small areas on and off the ridge line. They're typically spaced 750 to 1,500 feet apart. And if you haven't been to one of our public hearings yet, I encourage you to go, because there is a very good technology that is able to show you what the turbines will actually look like on the ridge line from various locations in your county. We will also do everything to protect the nearby rivers and streams. As you all know, we chose in the Virginia City permit to go with air-cooled condensing because we know how important the Clinch River system is and how many endangered species there are. We will make sure that our erosion and sediment control plans are in place to protect these streams, and there is no chemicals on site to contain vegetation. We will do that all mechanically. A lot of people ask, what does a turbine sound like? And I'll tell you, when you get under one, it's almost eerily quiet. You can't even tell that they're moving from a noise perspective. If you look on that chart, it's just slightly ahead of a quiet room, and it's quieter than a conversation that you might be having at 3 feet. So it's truly not going to have a noise impact. I didn't figure I could come here and not give an update as to where we are on Virginia City. As many of you know, it is probably the tightest air permit ever passed on a coal plant in the U.S. One of the state air pollution control board member quotes is located down at the bottom of this chart. And we believe it has the complete environmental package. As I mentioned, it protects the water. It will use waste coal and biomass in addition to run-of-mine coal. And it will protect the air quality. And we are pursuing carbon capture, storage, and research as we talked about. From a construction standpoint, we are about 25% complete. Most